Welcome to Anything Cricket. Let's talk.
Following the wonderful display and victory by our West Indies team against England, it is that time again for you to witness exciting regional cricket at the Mecca. Join us at Kensington Oval as defending champions Barbados Pride open up their title defence against the Leeward Island Hurricanes from February 9th to 12th. The Craig Brathwaite-led team will then oppose the Jamaica Scorpions at the same venue from February 15th to 18th. Patrons are reminded that only fully vaccinated persons will be permitted in the stadium. Admission for non-members is $10 Barbados dollars, senior citizens $5. BCA members and children aged 12 to 17 accompanied by their parents is absolutely free. Both matches will begin at 10 a.m. This is We. Let us support our Barbados Pride cricket team.
I'm Philip Hackett, and we've got lots for you today with the start of the regional season and the international engagements of the West Indies team. It's been a busy time, so you certainly will have your fill of cricket on Anything Cricket. Let's talk. I was fortunate to catch up with a very busy Wendell Coppin in the hours leading up to the start of the regional season. Here's what he had to say. Well, Wendell, it's been a while. You've been waiting, it seems, forever to defend that title that you won back in, 2020? So nearly 2 years now, and the moment is just around the corner. What's going on in your camp, and how are you guys doing?
Philip, again, it's nice to see you, nice to be with you, nice to hear from you. Yes, indeed, 2 years, almost to the point when we last played our final game against Guyana in Guyana, again, which we won within 2.5 days. And as we all remember, shortly after that, there was lockdowns across the world as a result of the pandemic, which has ravished the world in terms of loss of life and so on. From a cricketing perspective, we're in a good place. I mean, one of the things that we must give thanks for is cricket has had the opportunity to continue to practice and to prepare for the event that our players went off. Some went off international duties, some went off the regional CPL duties, and so on. So we must give a big thanks to the former Minister of Health, the Minister of Sports, who would have worked tirelessly with us and the COVID unit in trying to ensure that our players were always kept in tune, certainly on the field of play. We've had some challenges. We've had alternative venues. We've had to practice in different groups, small groups of 4, groups of 6, using other clubs as well. We use Carlton Club and we thank them. We use the Rubis Sports Club again and we thank them. We use the Wanderers Club and we also thank them. So there has been a unilateral effort by a number of different persons that have provided services to us and allowed us to continue to practice. But from a team perspective, over the last 3 weeks, I think we have come together as a team, as a group, where things are starting to be more fine-tuned and more geared directly at what is ahead of us tomorrow. And from that perspective, I think that we are all in a very, very good place.
Well, all these various venues and only one Wendell Coppin, one manager, you must be drained.
I'm hoping that, that at the end of this, that I'll be rewarded with victory from the Barbados team for the second year. I see it as part of the terrain, really. In order to have sportsmen and women out on the park. They said somebody has to do the work, and again, that person happens to be me this time. You know, Philip, I'm sure that you have been in that space in your former years, but whether in the classroom or working with young sportsmen and so on. So you understand what I'm talking about. But again, you know, it is one of those things that has to be done. From my perspective, I see it as being part and parcel of ensuring that our players, when they get out onto the field, that they're as well prepared, and any stone that should be unturned or should be rolled away, it was rolled away by me, and or by my intervention. So hence that is why that, you know, I've been up and down. I was up at 3 o'clock this morning, dealing with a number of matters. So yes, indeed, it has been challenging, but hopefully, as I said, I'll be rewarded with victory, not just in this game, but certainly this whole entire season.
Well, it would appear as though COVID is a bigger threat and a bigger enemy, a bigger, opponent than any of the teams that you're going to play against. So you've taken measures, as you outlined, to reduce, the chances of COVID being a factor. How successful have you been now, right on the eve of the contest, in terms of your players?
Well, we're still continuing. COVID takes no prisoners, and as recently as last week, we had a couple of players who tested positive. One of them retested for the virus for the second time within the last couple of months. So he has become one of the statistics that the Ministry of Health have sort of uncovered, that there's some people that are being reinfected with the disease and so on. But what we have been able to do is to mitigate against any major outbreak. During the Legends Cup, we did have a small matter where a number of the players in one team did test positive, and as soon as that happened, we closed the entire operation down. As a result of the smaller group, we've been able to isolate persons as soon as one person has come down with COVID. What will happen is that particular group, we isolate that group, as opposed to them being infecting all 25 or 30 persons who've been together. So hence the reason for having the small groups of 4s and 6s and 8s, and at times no more than 10 in a group, including staff, because that allowed us to isolate an individual group easier than to have the entire group being fully infected. I myself came down with COVID back in October, and at the time there was no other person within the group who had COVID as a result of my positive test, because of the measures that we had taken and the measures that we continue to take. So hopefully, the message to all of our players is we're each other's keeper, and if you are healthy today, the whole idea is for you to remain healthy tomorrow, and every single day we have to take measures to ensure that not just you are healthy, but the rest of your teammates and staff are healthy also.
So you did mention, and I recall, that the Legends, the training, the exercise had to be put on hold because of the outbreak of COVID. Are you aware of the plan B, C, D, etc., for this competition, both from the Barbados point of view and from the organizers' point of view, in the event that you have more than 2 or 3 cases? In other words, is there a likelihood or possibility that the tournament may be paused, or is the mindset that we keep going, utilizing available players?
Well, what we currently have in each team now has 15 players. Previously, it's 13 members in the squad. But there are 2 COVID replacement players. There are 2 COVID replacement players that are added officially to each team. And those COVID replacement players will be utilized in the event of an outbreak of 1 or 2 persons within the squad. But outside of that, in the event that more than 2 persons have to be brought in, what we have done is that we have tested 6 other persons who are reserves in the event of an unfortunate circumstance that where COVID strikes. So we have persons who are already in the fray, and they are part of that healthy living and safe living environment, whereby that they will continue to do all the necessary things to make sure that the spread is not significant, whereby that cricket cannot take place. As it is, we recognize the significant contribution of the COVID unit and the assistance that they have given us, the advice that they have given us, certainly from a local perspective and the regional perspective. And it's just a case of everyone buying into the whole concept.
I see.
Of looking after each other, so that the event that it does take place, that it is only on a small scale.
So I'm assuming that these different groups of players, you talk about 13, then you talk about 2 more, that's 15, and then you talk about additional 6. I would assume that they're not all together, let's say, in terms of training right now on the eve of the tournament. No, well, we would have the 15 is together. The 15 is in the hotel. The 15 have checked into the hotel together. The additional 6, they would have tested. They would have tested at the same time that everyone else tested, right, to go into the hotel. So we know that this particular 6 is healthy. And what will happen as a result as we go forward? We're testing again this evening, for instance, on the eve of the game. And then we'll test 2, and then we'll test 2 days after that. So there's a. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so there's constant testing, which again is to unearth any suspect.
To catch anything early before it spreads.
Catch it as early as possible, and then if that replacements have to be made, that we can we've got the 2 replacements in house, and then we've got a further 6 replacements on standby. Hopefully that we'll be able to fill the breach.
Yeah, but what I want to ask just now, before we move to the cricket directly, so these 6 players are in a hotel as well, some hotel somewhere, or they're on their own pretty much?
No, they're at home. They're at home.
Okay.
On the very strict guidelines, where you're even to wear your mask at home.
So like a semi isolation, if you will.
A semi isolation. So we've asked persons who have families, even to wear your mask around families, or constantly wash hands. We've given them some guidelines, and we expect that they will adhere to the guidelines.
Yeah, because I mean, there's a lot at stake for them, because if they get a chance to play,
exactly,
that can make a difference.
There is an opportunity also that something may very well happen.
Right. Okay. Well, in terms of the cricket, good to know that you've gone that far ahead in your thinking. I don't know how easy it would be for the visiting teams, but I suppose they will make arrangements accordingly. In terms of the cricket, though, I know you're not a selector, you're not the coach, but 2 obvious players we've seen for years representing Barbados, Ashley Nurse and Kevin Stout. Is this maybe the end for them?
No, say again. Sorry, I lost you there for a moment.
Okay, no, I was saying that I know you're not a selector or coach, but I just wanted some insight. Ashley Nurse and Kevin Stout are not in the squads that have been announced. So I'm just wondering if this is a sign, maybe that's the that's the end of that era, or can you throw some light on that?
Well, I would hate to speak for the selectors, but at the same time, I would imagine, because they were part of the preparation, so I would imagine that they are part and parcel of the plans for the entire season.
Okay.
Yes, it's a truncated season. We're only playing 5 games. It's not the home and away as has happened in recent years. Right. But who knows? I would think that the fact that they were part of the preparation, that they're still in the frame for national player. As to the thinking behind what the selectors have done, unfortunately, I'm not able to reach that far to tell you, but I could only imagine that they are still part of the whole system.
Okay. Any player information you want to share with us? By that I mean a couple of names that don't jump out at the average person. Ramon Simmons, for example. I don't know how well he would be known by the average Barbadian or people around the region. Yeah, well, young Ramon Simmons. People will remember that he was a young West Indies under 19 cricketer. He went to West Indies on the 19 World Cup.
not the one just finished, but the one previous one.
Okay.
So he would have played, and he currently plays for YPC. What has happened is that over the last 8 months or so, his development, you can see that there has been tremendous development from his part. He looks young, he looks aggressive, he looks hungry, he looks he has a great potential, and he's got good skill sets. Bo's left arm pace, lively left-handed pace bowler. So yes, he is one of note. Dimitri Rich, who had just come into the side, as a matter of fact, he came into the side as a result of one of the persons who would have been in the original 15 testing positive. So Dimitri Riches, with good scores, starting with the Legends Cup, a good 80 going into one of the T20 games that we had, the pitch testing T20 competition that we had, which was a build-up to the international series with West Indies versus England, the successful series for West Indies. And then again coming into the final practice game, again another half century. So he has put his numbers there.
He's got the name to go with it.
Yeah, exactly. He looks very promising. From all reports, because I must admit that I knew very little about the young man prior to coming to the Legends Cup. He keeps wicket as well. From all reports, as a youth cricketer, he was always aggressive, pugnacious little batsman. So yes, he has come in. Shem Holder, again, he will be his second season. He would have played a couple of games in the successful winning season of 2020. So Shem Holder is in there. Unfortunately, Akeem Jordan, who probably would have made his debut, he came down as a result of the dreaded COVID, and so he therefore misses out.
Yeah,
but
tough.
yes, the team looks a very young. It's a young one, a very young side. There's Ashley Nurse. Sorry, not Ashley Nurse. There's Jonathan Carter, Craig Braffett, obviously the Barbados and West Indies captain. You have Shane Mosley, who has tasted in international cricket.
And you welcome back Shane Dowrich, the other Shane. And
we welcome back Shane Dowrich. It's good to see Shane back on the park. I personally believe that Shane is one of the region's better batsmen once he's in a good space, in terms of psychologically and physically. He looks good. He looks very, very confident in the nets. I saw him in the nets yesterday, and he looks really, really good. So Shane, I expect a lot from him. It's a big season for him as well. Ultimately, he would want to regain his place in the West Indies team, and we all know we all know that player, even though that it may still be up for grabs. The incumbent has not done anything wrong per se. But Shane Dowrich,
but he's not put the issue beyond doubt.
His record in Test cricket speaks for itself. So hopefully he can regain his place with a good showing, certainly in the regional competition.
And good to see Tevin Walcott retains his spot in the squad, so to speak. Tevin Walcott, who has done quite a bit of work for Barbados in the absence of Shane when Shane was on the West Indies.
Yes. Yeah, but Tevin is the resident reserve wicketkeeper. Ultimately, for what he's in the one-day side in the event that Shea Hope is on international duties, and he's normally in the four-day side in the event that Shane Dowrich is on international duty. Right. But the selectors and the captain in particular believe that he has done enough with the bat in the times that he has played for Barbados, that he deserves a player, certainly for his batting in the side, in a young side. And again, it's good to see that young batsman grabbing the opportunity, even though that he's an all-rounder, one behind the stumps, and then in the back department. So it's good to see that we have persons who are willing to grab opportunities.
Well, look, Wendell, I appreciate the fact that these are the hours now leading up to the opening contest. So I really appreciate the time that you've taken out of all that's going on to chat with us about what's happening with Barbados. I would imagine that you're optimistic about being able to retain the championship. At least you can share your feelings of that before you run off.
More than optimistic. We're sort of expecting to regain the championship.
Okay.
Our whole goal of short-term goals are each game, one game at a time.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, with the big goal to win all 5 games, certainly, and to retain the championship. But again, step by step. So it is one day at a time. So we'll be looking to win each session. Once we win each session, then we win each day's play, and then ultimately we win each game. That is the process by which we are looking to retain the championship. So let's hope that all goes well. Our coaching staff are working extremely hard. That's what Drakes and Ryan Hines, and the support staff, Jackie King, Alex Ford, Jamar Lane, behind the scenes, strength and conditioning and analytical stuff. Are working tirelessly to ensure that our players are well prepared and are well equipped to go on the field and to retain the championship.
Wendell Coppin, all the best to you and the Barbados team for the 2022 season.
Thank you, Philip. All the best to you too.
One of the teams obviously competing, to say one of the teams competing is Guyana is a bit of an understatement, because Guyana has dominated regional cricket now for a while. And that's, of course, with the exception of last time, where the Barbados side was able to overhaul everyone and win. But no doubt that Guyana has really been the form team over the past, maybe 5-6 years or so. We've got Brandon Corlett, Guyanese journalist, who's also a cricketer himself. And he is going to be telling us about what's happening in Guyana cricket-wise, and his expectations of the Guyana side as they get ready for the regional competition. Thanks for joining us on Anything Cricket Let's Talk, Brandon.
Yes, thanks for the opportunity. Special guest here. I'm a special guest on your program. Yeah, so a lot of local cricket for the youth cricketers in Guyana right now. On the 15th inter-county, right? That's set to play later in February. So right now there are a host of trial matches across Berbice, Essequibo, and Demerara. And we know school face-to-face, schools are in session. So cricket is slowly starting right here in Guyana. And for the regional 4-day tournament, we are now the Guyana Harpy Eagles and not the Guyana Jaguars. Right, but some familiar faces in the regional 4-day team, and I think this squad, right, looks good on paper, and I think they have what it takes to regain the championship.
Okay, so bold words. But even before we get to the championship, and we really got to talk about that championship, but you said something very interesting, that you have under 15s playing right now. School is in session face-to-face. How does that match up with the current COVID situation? What is it like? I mean, in Barbados, you're getting at least 400, 500, 600, sometimes 700 cases a day. We've gone as high as 900 cases. Of course, you're a lot bigger. What's the situation like there?
Yeah, you have cases because a lot of tests been going on, but the numbers aren't high as that. Like before, a lot of people weren't vaccinated and stuff like that, but now the emphasis is placed on the vaccinations and the boosters as well, right? So the cases and the deaths, they're not high as before. And school has returned as well face-to-face. It's a phased something, you wouldn't have all classes in school at the same time, right? Different grades will go on a different day. And on the 15 cricket, that's the priority right now in Guyana, because the inter-county tournament, that's set for February, but we have a bit of rain in and out, so
that is Guyana.
That's Guyana, rain here and there.
Okay, so you jumped ahead of me there in talking about the inter-county cricket. That's going to be coming back very shortly, so that's also a very positive thing. Maybe unfortunate that you couldn't get some cricket before the 4-day competition. I mean, for the seniors.
Well, the senior guys had 3 trial matches, right? And they had a host of fitness assessments and training sessions, I think from since December. They were together as a team. And before that, most players were probably playing white ball cricket in the United States, in Abu Dhabi. But they came as a team in December and they had 3 trial matches. The scores weren't that high, apart from the first trial match, where Shimron Hetmeyer scored a century and Tevin Imlach.
Yes. Now, talking about Shimron Hetmeyer, we heard about that century, and we also saw some photos of the training, and there was, you could almost say, the usual discussion about fitness and so on. What's the situation with Hetmeyer? Will he be available for these early scheduled matches?
Yeah, well, Hetmeyer's in the 4-day squad, and he would have missed the Pakistan Super League, I think. That's because he had some COVID-19 related issues, but he fully recovered and stuff like that. And based on the fitness assessments that he did, he would have shown improvements.
Okay, so you'll be seeing him then in the first round of matches, you think?
Definitely. Hetmeyer will start.
Okay. And remind us who's your captain for the season. Of course, the veteran, huh?
Leon Johnson, the 34-year-old Leon Johnson.
Mm-hmm. So what's your opening fixture like?
So Guyana Harpy Eagles will play the Windward Islands Volcanoes on February 9 at Queen's Park Oval, Trinidad and Tobago.
So let's get that again. The Guyana will be up against the Windwards in Trinidad.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Of course, that's the arrangement to facilitate the COVID situation, because normally you wouldn't get matches played in neutral venues. So what happens after that? I believe you would have had the schedule for the first 2 games. So the second
Leeward Islands will be playing Guyana right in Trinidad and Tobago as well.
In Trinidad and Tobago as well.
Right.
Okay. So you're not having home games this year then? At least not
in Guyana, I don't think in this first 2 rounds, after the first 2 rounds would have completed, I think the final 3 rounds, remember it's a 5-round season.
Yes.
So after this first 2 rounds, then we might have home games. And I think those last 3 rounds are scheduled to be played after the test series with England in the West Indies.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. You got any hopefuls in your squad who may very well make an impression, or who you would be looking at to make an impression, to possibly give the selectors a few options for the test series?
Yeah, I mean, Kimo Paul is back. He's fit and ready, right? He actually has an impressive first-class record, 88 wickets, right, in only 22 matches, I think, right? And that's an average of 18. So I think Kimo Paul would want to push for a spot in the West Indies team, as well as Leon Johnson. I mean, he's 34 years old, but a very experienced campaigner, right? He scored 472 runs last season for Guyana. So if he scores some more runs this season, he might as well put his name up in the hat. And I know Shimron Hetmeyer will want to return as well to the West Indies setup.
You talk about Johnson, maybe we've got some new selectors. Do you honestly think, though, at 34, that he should be seriously considered, and that he would be seriously considered, of course, assuming he does very well?
Yes, I mean, he's a batsman. He's very fit, a disciplined person. And I think the only thing that should be used, well, the most important thing that should be used for selection for a batsman is runs. So if Johnson scores centuries and half centuries in the first few rounds, why not be selected?
Well, he would certainly have my complete support, I can tell you that, because I think he's one of the unfortunate cricketers in the region. Never really, we see cricketers getting extended runs and producing hardly anything. And it's very unfortunate. The story of Johnson is a very unfortunate one. And I would be very happy indeed if, despite his age, if he is selected. And I can tell you, I do agree with you. I think we've actually lost our way in the region, where we tend to focus on so many things for selection. And really and truly, it's about runs and wickets in cricket. Keep it simple. Yeah. So any names that we're not that familiar with, who you think may be ready or close to being ready?
Yeah, well, let me take you through the squad. Leon Johnson, the captain. Kimo Paul, who's actually the vice captain this season. Chandrapal Hemraj and Tejnarain Chandrapal. Those are the openers. Vishal Singh, former test batsman.
Okay.
Akshaya Prasad, right? He wouldn't be a newcomer, but he's young to first class cricket. Anthony Bramble, the wicketkeeper. Tevin Imlach, another wicketkeeper batsman. Veerasamy Perumal, the veteran. Godikesh Moti, another left-arm spinner. Niall Smith, a fast bowler. Clinton Pestano, fast bowler as well. Shimron Hetmeyer, Keon Joseph, a fast bowler, and Anthony Adams, the third left-arm spinner in the Guyana Harpy Eagles setup. So Anthony Adams, right, he would have been the least experienced player, Guyana player in this squad with only one first-class match. And Adams is a left-arm spinner who would have dominated cricket locally, you know, with a lot of wickets. Very consistent performer for Essequibo. He would have captained the franchise team in Essequibo there and stuff like that. So a very consistent performer, hard worker, fit guy. So he would have been rewarded with selection. Akshaya Prasad, right? He would have played for CCC a few seasons ago in the regional Super 50, right? And he would have scored 2 half centuries in the 3 trial matches. And his half centuries came at a time where batsmen were struggling, right? Because we, as I said earlier, apart from the first trial match where Hetmeyer and Tevin Imlach scored centuries, right? Batsmen struggled, right? So Prasad would have gained selection through those half centuries. And in the past, he would have performed well as in the franchise tournaments here in Guyana, right? So the other player that I would like to touch on is Tevin Imlach. He would have played 2 first-class matches as well. And he's a former West Indies under-19 wicketkeeper, right? He played in that 2016 campaign.
Yes. The championship, yes, the victorious campaign.
Right. So Imlach is here, right? And he's a very hard-working guy. He's arguably the fittest person in this team, right? I would have witnessed most of the Harpy Eagles fitness sessions, right? And Imlach scored a patient century, right, in that first trial match. And he's a very good wicketkeeper, right? He's young, 25 years, so he might be Anthony Bramble's replacement in the future.
You know, I think the case of Imlach, he's 25 now, but it was back in 2016, that'll be 6 years ago, when he would have been part of that championship winning side. And I think his example or his situation is a typical one for those who argue that there should be a regional under-23 tournament. Obviously, with COVID, that would have had its challenges over the last 2 years. But we're talking about the fact that with Anthony Bramble, he's 25 now. He was 19 when he played in that tournament. He's now 25 and just 2 first-class matches. When we noticed that, even watching the under-19s recently, amazing how many of the players, especially from England, would have already had first-class experience. So you can see really and truly how our setup is a challenge for our young developing players.
Definitely. I mean, that's something that should be looked into seriously. I mean, these guys are fresh from under-19 World Cups. I mean, you need to get them in high-performance camps or something of the sort and play more cricket. You know, we heard the new lead selector, the most honorable Dr. Desmond Haynes, said that he would have recommended a few of the under-19 players in the dressing rooms.
Yes.
You know, that's when England come back. So that's a good start there by itself, right? But when these players are fresh from under-19 World Cup, you have to throw them into senior cricket and you know, let them learn.
The problem is that there's under-19 World Cup, every 2 years. And therefore, you know, even if you utilize 1 or 2, it's not going to be a wholesale thing. You know, because you're not just going to dismiss the more senior players, which would include some of the same players who had been in under-19, 3, 4, 5 years before. So I would think it's going to be difficult with the amount of cricket we play to accommodate them at in the senior first-class competition. I see 2 options which they'll probably say money, they can't afford it. That's usually the story for everything. But I see 2 options there, the under-23 regional competition, or to have a B team type situation at the regional level.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. Those would give those players exposure. I mean, the West Indies B team would have played the regional Super 50 a few seasons ago. I think they should continue with that.
At least that. But when I said B team, I meant each of the competing teams, Guyana, Trinidad, Barbados, all the franchise having a B team, a B. So it's a B competition, if you will. that would be ideal.
Yeah.
But in the absence of that, if you're going to have, yes, a B team representative, let's say, of the entire region, that still would give the opportunity to what, maybe 15 or so players who would not normally have that opportunity. So even that, which would be a lot cheaper than having each team with a B team, even that would make a tremendous difference.
Yeah, even that, remember we had the West Indies emerging players a few seasons ago in the Super 50, and they would have clinched the title, right? So if you can do that for the regional 4-day season as well.
And do it consistently every year.
Right,
yeah,
right.
Yeah. Okay, so anything else you can share with us about cricket in Guyana?
Yeah, well, Sir Courtly Ambrose is scheduled to visit Berbice, right? That's the ancient county here. He will conduct a fast bowling camp with senior and junior fast bowlers across Berbice. So that would be a great event.
Wow, I can imagine. Sir Courtly Ambrose in town and working with the fast bowlers. Any apart from the obvious ones, Kimo Paul, Niall Smith, any fast bowlers lurking around that may not be well known outside of Ghana?
Yeah, well, you have Dimitri Cameron. He's in the reserves, the list of reserves for this Guyana Harpy Eagles 4-day squad. And Silas Tyndall, right? He would have played for Guyana under 19 a few years ago. A very fast bowler, a tall guy. So I think those two guys are coming up sharply. And, you know, Keon Joseph at age 30, he probably have a few more years. Clinton Pestano at age 29, who's another fast bowler, a few more years. But Cameron and Tyndall might be the successors of Joseph and Pestano in the future.
Okay. So before you run off then, you're playing your first two matches, a neutral territory, so to speak, and things are a little bit different. You've got a short season, just five games. But what are your hopes and expectations for the Ghana side, first of all?
Yeah, well, I think the bowling for the Guyana side has always held its own. Veresami Peramal, 544 first class wickets in 122 matches, right? I think the bowling will perform exceptional. But the thing is, the batting is always an iffy question, right? So I think if the batsmen come to the party, bat long, dig deep, focus, I think Guyana will do extremely well in this regional 4-day tournament.
And you're optimistic of a meaningful season given the changes that had to be made, the competition cut in half virtually, neutral venues on occasions. How do you read all that?
Well, I think players, right? Players would want to perform earlier than before. They wouldn't have a lot of time to, you know, see things through. They would have to go out there and perform quickly, right? Because the test series against England is next month. So players would want to score heavy and take a lot of wickets, right? Early in this regional 4-day tournament. Neutral venues, that's good. That's good for cricket in general, right? I mean, players shouldn't always play at home and have this home advantage and stuff like that. So it's good for cricket in general.
Okay, and you're talking about players performing early and trying to get their name in there. I know you're an opening batsman. You still play at the highest level locally, Division 1. Are you one of those who will be putting your name in the hat when the competition gets going next month?
Oh my! I think my days for that has passed. I don't know.
Okay, you certainly well, you played some youth cricket as well, didn't you?
Yeah. I played Berbice Inter-County tournament, the under-15 tournament, and I played in Barbados there, the Sir Garfield Sobers tournament.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Well, if you've given up, if you've put yourself in the category of let's say even beyond Johnson, you're saying at 34, he's not too old. So if you've written yourself off already, well, I guess you know best. Okay. All right, Brandon Corlett, thanks very much for joining us on Anything Cricket Let's Talk and sharing, some background on what's going on in Guyana. Very exciting to hear that the under-15s are getting to play. We've not been that fortunate here. So I'm glad to hear that. And hopefully the face-to-face school and things of that nature continue to go well. Thanks very much.
Yes, thanks for having me as well. Great opportunity. Thank you.
When West Indies defeated England 3-2 in the recent T20 series at Kensington, Barbadian Chris Jordan was among the English playing against us. That's widely known. What may not be as well known is that one of his teammates, Phil Salt, who made his debut during that series, has also got pretty close ties with Barbados, having spent many years here for part of his primary and secondary education. Wayne and I spent a few minutes with him during the tour, and we pretty much tried to get some insight into the differences in playing cricket here in Barbados and in England. Welcome to Anything Cricket Let's Talk, Phil Salt.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Well, I said visitors, and I put that in quotes because in actual fact, I suppose you are as much Bajan as you are English, having spent a significant portion of your time here.
Yeah. At one point, I was eligible to play for Barbados, but no, I think I lost that. So if I was to come back now, I'd have to do the 4 years and all the rest of it.
Mm-hmm. I understand that while you were here, you went to one of the leading secondary schools in the Caribbean. Is that true?
Which one's that? So I went to St. Winifred's, but I played cricket for Harrison College.
Right. Okay.
So I guess you could say that, yeah.
Yeah, just teasing my partner Wayne Holder, because he attended the school that in our day was in great competition with Harrison College. Are you aware of the Lodge School?
I remember the Lodge School, yeah. To be honest, when I was playing, there wasn't much competition.
Well, I can understand that too. So let's jump forward to today now. You had your education, secondary education, largely in Barbados, and as you said, you could have qualified to play for Barbados and so on. What really took you then back to England?
Obviously, once you get the opportunity to take on a scholarship, and get an education at the same time as improving your cricket, that's not something you can really turn down, an opportunity like that.
Where did the dream of becoming a professional cricketer begin? Did it begin before you came to the West Indies or after?
Probably after. Before I moved over here, I was mainly focused on my football. I was playing academy football at the time back in the UK, but then when I came back over here, I guess I had a lot more opportunities to sort of play cricket at a high level. So I think it would have come from there.
Who were some of the persons instrumental in your game when you were in Barbados? I spoke about Barry, who I know was something of a junior coach, but who were some of the persons and institutions who may have been influential in your time here in Barbados?
Yeah, I've been lucky to have a lot of sort of mentors from this part of the world in my time, good coaching. People like Philo Wallace and Alvin Greenwich. Obviously, Roddy's coaching the West Indies at the moment, but he was obviously a large part of it as well at Phoenix Academy. So there's a lot of guys who I'm very thankful for, I guess, that they put their time into me at a young age.
What would you identify though as the major differences between, or if any, between the English system, the British system, and the local system here in Barbados as far as development of players and opportunities are concerned?
Obviously, in England is a little bit more structured, not too much, but I think in England there's a bit more sort of like structure around, talent ID and all that sort of stuff. I think they're pretty hot on that. Whereas over here, it's very much a case of from early you need to score your runs, take your wickets if you want to get noticed.
So would you say in the English system, or which system actually gives the player more of an input into where he wants to go? Sometimes in the Caribbean, I suppose that's done for you. You're this, you're that, or you're the other. Is that the same thing there in terms of developing in the way you want to and working on the things that you think you need to deal with?
Yeah, I think that I wouldn't say that's entirely true. I think, wherever I was in the world, whether it was Barbados or whether it was back in England, I've just personally myself, I've been very lucky to have coaches that have always sort of given me direction, and I've always known how to get better and where I was going as a cricketer. So for me personally, I wouldn't have said that I noticed too much of a difference in that regard.
There has been some discussion, even recently, concerning the role of coaching in the development of players. with some persons being of the school of thought that it may not be a good thing to have players heavily coached in the technical areas in the early part of their development as against when they get a bit older. How have you seen that play out in your situation?
Personally, I think that if you can give youngsters just the right push, just a gentle push in the right direction, they'll always figure it out. That's what I believe. I mean, that sort of worked for me. Obviously, you can coach sort of talent out of a kid. I'm certain of that. But I think if, good coaching is giving players just that little shove in the right direction and letting them figure it out for themselves.
And the role of the coach then, once you get to your level where you are at now, as a professional, how is that role? How does that role change when you get to this level?
It's very similar. There might be a few sort of harder words at this level, but it's very similar in the way they're always looking for, firstly, to get you in the right space for you to play your best cricket, and secondly, that they point out the areas that you can develop.
Okay, well, Phil, thanks very much for dropping in and spending some time with us. We know you've got other commitments, so we wish you well and hope that you enjoy the rest of your stay in Barbados on and off the field.
Thanks very much, gents. Thanks for having me.
The West Indies women recently completed a series against South Africa. Didn't get the desired result, going on to lose that series 2-1. Here is Courtney Walt sharing his thoughts at the end of the series.
I know that a lot of things would have come out of this series heading into the World Cup. What were some of the things that you started out looking for and saw even after we went down?
Well, to get some depth in the bowling combination and some consistency in the batting, so the areas that we want to identify. So it was pleasing to see the Andrew getting scores, and then with Kaisi and Knight getting back-to-back score putting together. That was very pleasing. And then today, just to get Afi back out on the park, she hadn't played for over a year now, so to get her back out and get overs from her in her first outing was something that I wanted to get done, so that was a big plus as well.
I know that losing Stuff and Shadeen probably would have hurt your cause of trying to push for a series win, but you had told us that the series win is not necessarily what you're really looking for. You were just looking at some stuff. You're still satisfied though with the outing?
Yeah, I'm very satisfied with the outing. Obviously disappointed that we lost the series one, but more disappointed with the injury, and just have to wish those that the injury that speedy recovery. Obviously losing the captain and one of our main batters, the way we did was a telling blow. Shady knew I'd got some runs in the first game and looking reasonably good, confident was up, losing her as well. The way we did it for calls for both games was a telling blow for the batting. And you can tell the depth of the batting that we have, that those two would have been missed. But I'm very happy with a lot of other stuff around it, and just have to try to fit together now things that we've been working on for the World Cup.
Just your sentiments on Deandra Dutton and the importance and value that she brings to this unit.
Well, tremendous value to the unit. She leads from the front, very explosive player. In a bit of nick. Unfortunately, again, I didn't get to mention that today. So we lost already my momentum because she picked up an injury or re-aggravated a slight injury she had while batting. So that sort of limited her. And we didn't get probably the fluency. But obviously, when she's on the go, she sets a good tone for the rest of the innings and the players behind her. So losing her today, we just have to hope that she gets a speedy recovery to the injury. But obviously, she has a very pivotal part to play in the team going forward.
And your thoughts on Mandy Mangru, the debutant today?
Well, debutant must have been nervous, but I think it was good to get out in the middle. She looked pretty decent with the bat, as we know. There's areas that we need to work, and strength is going to be one of them, just being honest. But it was good to see her get out there, and the composure she showed while she was batting for the greater part of it. It would have been good to see if she had someone of the main batters to back with. That would have helped her along and stuff. But I think she tried to take matters into her own hand when we were losing wickets. And playing your first game, I can't fault her. But I think this experience would have done her the world of good.
I just wanted to ask, how concerned are you about the injuries that your players have sustained, and how close are they to getting back full fitness ahead of the World Cup?
I'm very
That's
concerned.
one. Okay, go ahead.
I'll answer the first one. The good thing, the way I'm laughing, is that when we leave South Africa, we have a 10-day stint of doing nothing. We won't be outdoors at all. So I'm hoping that over those 10 days, all injuries have been healed or close to being healed. Or so when we start back up, we start afresh again. We have a fair amount of traveling to do and quarantine as it goes with the biosecure bubbles. So I'm hoping that at the end of the quarantine time, everybody should hopefully be back to 90% or 95% fitness. And if that happens, then I'll be very, very happy to start the World Cup.
Okay, you have kind of answered what I was going to ask for the second, because I was going to ask what's next after you leave South Africa, but you basically answered.
As I mentioned, we have a quarantine period and then we have a support period where we have some more warm-up games. So those players who probably didn't get a chance to play here, we'll try to see how we can fit them in to get them some kind of cricket. And then the next thing is that we'll have to announce our 15 for the World Cup. So once that is done, then obviously you focus on that 15 as much as you can to get the match time or match practice, because the 3 reserve would not be used. So I think, what we did come in here and in terms of having the 18 players and being able to select from them was a blessing in disguise. See everybody help, keep everybody on their toes sharp and ready, and that would have helped us. So now the selectors have a chance to look back at this series and what we know from in the past, come up with the best 15 that we have for the World Cup, and then we focus on those. So we have a little bit more time than people might think, but a lot of the time it's going to be indoors, as I mentioned earlier, because of the quarantine. But once we get over that period, then we're going to be eager to get out and start playing cricket again.
What message do you have for West Indians about paying more attention to the women's game, especially ahead of the World Cup?
We need all the support we can get. We need all the West Indian supporters to support us once we're playing. That support can be beneficial to the team and to get that insight, because we get, I do follow some of the social media stuff, and I know that there's a fair amount of people watching now, and the more people watch, the more the girls who want to perform for you once they know you're watching. So come out and watch the team, give us all the support you can, and don't forget it's a World Cup, and anything can happen. We just staged the 19 World Cup in the Caribbean, and it was pretty successful, I think, and we have a chance now playing in the one in New Zealand, so hopefully we can give a very good account of ourselves.
And Michelle also wanted to know, although key players were unavailable, it gave the opportunity for the other players to get practice in a match situation. Can you assess their performance and what were you satisfied with?
Well, I was satisfied with Afi coming back into it because she's been out of it for quite so long. Mandy played in the male debut and didn't look out of it, so to speak. Obviously, the experience and stuff, if she was batting with a main batter, would have been more beneficial. But she played this out of role that we know she can play if there's batters around her. So pretty pleasing to see that. And I think the attitude in the camp was very good, even though we know we had lost some key players. The girls, they gave everything they had to the end. So you can't fault them for that. We just have to keep working on a little more consistency in our department.
Well, in a couple of hours, West Indies will be starting the second one-day international against India, the series of 3, and of course, the first game won by India. Let's hear the comments of Jason Holder following the defeat in the first match.
Yeah, we just got to put a bigger price on the wicket. Yeah, too many soft dismisses in the innings today. I think the pitch was a little difficult to start on, but more or less we still got to dig a little deeper and, put up a much better fight than we did in this game. Can't really fault the bowlers too much. I think trying to defend the score that we did was always tough. And yeah, just a matter for us just to regroup. We've got a couple of days off and come back stronger. Faber is a very capable batsman, and he's obviously one of those guys who can strike it really well once he gets in. So I just try to give him that confidence, and we try to build a really good partnership. Just unfortunate when he got out. I think had he gone on a little longer and we built the partnership a little further, we could have been in a real good position to finish in this off nicely. No, we've got to dig deeper. I don't think we're too far off, to be fair. Our top order just needs to go a little deeper, put a heavier price on the wicket, and just give themselves a really good chance. I just think in these conditions you can really give yourself a really good chance and make up. And you could always be knocking it around. Run a ball or close or run a ball and finish well pass around the ball at the end of the inning. So just a matter of for our batters just to dig a little deeper and take it deeper, for the team. I think the fight that Azari showed, I love the way he ran in. He was very aggressive, something that the captain always asked of him. And very, very proud of the way he bowled. I think he was a little unlucky, obviously, to get a few streaky boundaries here and there, but all in all, I was happy to see the way he ran in, and he obviously got the results. He was also tidy. Obviously our best spinner, and he's been our leading spinner for a little while now, so it's good to see him still in the wickets and being very, very tidy. I think it's something that we've struggled with as a group sometimes with our bowling, and he came in and was tidy, and he obviously caused a bit of trouble.
Wicketkeeper batsman Jamar Hamilton will be leading the Leeward Islands when they come up against home side Barbados at Kensington tomorrow. He seemed rather optimistic of an enthralling contest between the two sides when he chatted with the media earlier today.
Preparation has been going great. We as the Leeward Islands team, we've been training for the past 5 to 6 months. Due to the corona, we had a few challenges, but we worked around the system and we've continued our training weekly. So the preparation has been good. For me personally, it's good to be back out to be playing regional cricket. As you said, for me, it's all about, I would say, my personal development. It's just about giving myself a chance. I've scored runs before in this tournament, but it's also sticking to your plans and going back to the basics where you were successful. You can say a bit on the anxious side, so get back out there and perform, and also lead my team to the best of my ability, and also do well this season. Also get back around the international setup, and also be more. Be more consistent around the senior setup. We have a few senior guys around, myself, Powell, Thomas, Hodge, Cornwall, who've been around for a while, who've been in the setup for a while. And we have a few youngsters mixed with us this season. I feel we have the right setup. Just leading the way for these youngsters to come and take over from us when we leave. So I say we have enough experience with a little bit of youth involved. So going forward, it's just about progress and also building each one future. Well, it's Kensington Oval, a lot of pace. So we expect pace to be bowled there plenty in this game. So it's all about just being consistent with our fast bowling. It's going to be a little hit here and there, but only the strong will survive. So we're looking to put up a good challenge against Barbados and hopefully come out victorious. These first 2 games are very crucial for everyone. So it's just about being consistent, get a great start for yourself personally, and also for your team. And anything is possible.
Thanks very much to Jamar Hamilton, the captain of the Leeward Islands Hurricanes, that will be up against the Barbados Pride tomorrow. Earlier, we heard from the manager of the Barbados Pride side, Wendell Copping. That's our show. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to Cricket West Indies, Flash Drive Media, and DA Computer Services. Thanks as well to all of our guests on this episode. Join us again soon for another episode of Anything Cricket. Let's talk.